presented by Memphis Shades, the clear choice for custom windshields and fairings for your motorcycle. And Wild Ass Seats, stay in the saddle longer and in total comfort no matter your butt or budget. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Five Dirty Bikers podcast, but instead of the five, today we have just me. This is Dustin coming at you with a one-on-one interview with Mr. Jared Weems, the very talented Jared Weems. Jared, how are you, man?
I'm very talented from what you say.
This is true, so I guess you know it too. I mean, you just got interviewed by somebody else not too long ago lately. I just watched that video, and hey, if more than one person thinks it, it's got to be true.
Hey, I will take the compliments. I'll process them and hopefully not let them go to my head and expand it any bigger than what it is. So, no, it's been super good, man. Thank you guys for having me on the episode. I'm excited to talk a little bit to you personally, Dustin, and I know all the other 4 dirty bikers that are out there are in support of everything that's going on. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh yeah, they're definitely here in spirit. So before we get into actually what we're going to be talking about, the main point, let's go ahead and see what's going on new with you. What's been going on, besides the bike we're building, that you're building, I should say, that, we're collaborating on. Born Free, what's going on in the background?
Man, it's been nuts. So pretty much ever since June, where we went out to Born Free 13, where we're the invited builder, we built that bike that we titled 56. It's a 1956 Triumph drag bike, supercharged, all kind of crazy, things going on with it. But pretty much every weekend since June, we've been on the road touring all over the country, back and forth, and had amazing time to meet some really cool people at all the different shows. And just wanted to, first of all, say thank you to everybody that invited us to their shows. And I'm excited that we're kind of coming to the end of 2022 show season. We have a few more shows, and the plan is to put that bike on the track and start racing it, using it for what it was built for.
Oh boy, I can't wait to see those videos.
Oh, it's going to be a blast, man.
So have you had it out on a track yet?
The only time I've physically had it on the track was when we did the photo shoot with the bike over in Clearwater, Florida. And Dustin, man, it took everything within me to keep from starting that bike up and taking it down the track. It was, I mean, just talk about motivation, sitting at a starting line, looking down that track, man, saying, hey, let's do this. But I knew that if I were to do a burnout and take that thing down the track, if you've ever been to a drag strip, it's just tar. And to try to clean that off of a pristine paint job with a uber rare paint that is on the bike, I did not want to clean it off. So I made the wise decision to hold off until after show season, and then we're going to start racing the thing. But we have run the motor, and I tell you what, it's I've used the word a few times. It's rowdy.
So do you have numbers on it? Have you had it like on a dyno or anything like that?
No, we haven't pulled any dynos. It's just been here at the shop, just firing it up, just making sure that everything's kind of tweaked out. We did a basic tune on it, so if we're at an event or at a show where they require it to be a riding motorcycle, I could start it up and stuff. I try not to, because number one, the bike runs on alcohol, and if you've ever worked with an alcohol fuel, it's very very corrosive, so you can't leave it inside the tanks, you can't leave it inside the fuel injector and stuff. So every time I start it, I have to flush the system out. So yeah, I try not to start it up as much as possible. But once race season comes, man, this thing's pretty much every weekend it'll be on the track getting used.
So are there any plans for this bike, say after showing it and racing it?
No, so kind of the background story is about 6-7 years ago, I built a 1966 Triumph Bonneville drag bike that I gave to my brother. And my brother's been racing it for about, I guess, probably about 3 to 4 years now. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm going to give you 56 and you can start racing that. And I'm going to take the 66 back and kind of rebuild it because it's a little tired. I don't know if I'm going to build it back as a drag bike or build it back as like a hot rod, little bobber, a chopper or something. But I'm eager to get my hands on that bike because it's been a while since I've built a unit Triumph.
Well, doesn't matter what happens to the bike. I know it's in good hands and it's going to end up awesome. And speaking of awesome, let's get into the main reason why you're here today. And that is to talk about this bike that you're building for Five Dirty Bikers for this awesome charity called TACA. So to give everybody a little bit of a background, you know, we've known Jared for a while. We've had him on the show a couple of times. If you haven't listened to those episodes, please go back and listen to them because every time we've had Jared on, it's been a blast. And we're so thankful to have been introduced to him. And it's just one of these great things about this community is you just meet so many great people. And it just seems like so many things just fall into place, like things have been with this bike that we're getting built. But Jared and I, we have this kind of a connection to where we're both fathers of children on the autism spectrum. And kind of knowing that and knowing just the awesome craftsmanship that Jared has put into these bikes that he's been showing and, you know, doing such good things with them like he did for Forgotten Angels. The 52 Triumph went for, $106,000 to a great charity there. Hollywood Run, incredible piece of art. We actually got to see both of these bikes at FDBM 21 and totally blown away by him. I mean, I think Tony had his wallet out wanting to make you an offer. I think he asked how much, you know, and you're like, can't right now. But I'm sure if the opportunity came up, he would clear his bank account for Hollywood Run. It's a beautiful machine, man.
Yeah, no, it's been a blast. I mean, both those motorcycles, both being David Man replicas, have been a blast. Here recently, I've been bringing Hollywood Run to a lot of shows and giving people the opportunity to see that. Something special is fixing to happen December 1st, and this is for you guys listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube. December 1st, I'm going to give someone the opportunity to either own Hollywood Run or the Rainmaker. And I'm going to put those both up as a congruent raffle. I need to make up some money. I've been traveling a lot these last couple of years.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
I'm going to do a raffle. I'm going to sell 250 tickets at $100 a piece, and the winner gets to pick either Hollywood Run or the Rainmaker, and that's going to be their bike. I'm nervous, but I'm also excited because I think both those motorcycles have really done a lot for me and for Weems Motor Co. And it's time to kind of pay it forward and to make up some of that lost ground from all the traveling. Yeah. Both motorcycles have been featured in magazines. Hollywood Run was featured in Greasy Culture magazine, and coming up, depending when this video comes out, the Rainmaker is going to be featured in Dice magazine issue number 99. So super excited. I mean, somebody's going to win something incredible. But it's been a blast to travel with those bikes.
Yeah. Like I said, FDBM 21, we got to see these bikes firsthand and blown away by the craftsmanship, the quality, the attention to detail. It's all there. Just knowing that this came from a painting, you know, a two-dimensional painting, and seeing it in real life was just, oh my God, awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, going from FDBM 21, we had dinner on Saturday night of the event, and I maybe it was the booze, I don't know, but I had this idea.
Booze is good, man. Hey,
hey, most of my good ideas.
Cheers.
Most of my good ideas come from the drink. This is one of the reasons I started riding, but it's not the reason I ride. So don't drink and drive, kids.
No.
Anyway, so I actually talked to I think Ryan and Tony about this, and I said, do you think Jared might go for an idea to collaborate with us on a bike, have it built out, and raffle it off for an autism charity? And they're like, is like, man, that sounds like an awesome idea. I think it's worth a shot. The worst he could say is no. And believe me, you could have said no, and I would have been just fine with it. But found a time to pull you aside at dinner and kind of talked about the idea, and really wasn't much hesitation on your part. I know it's a big undertaking for you, but I know that your heart was going to be in this if you said yes, and nothing short of top quality craftsmanship and attention to detail like we talked about before. And I was so excited when you said yes, because knowing what you did with that 52 Triumph, I know what we could do for a community that we're both a part of that could really use the help is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, number one, probably when you contacted me, the last thing that I at that moment wanted to do was another replica. I did the 2 David Mann Triumphs that were ever created, and I didn't want to be known as a builder who only builds replicas.
Right.
Goes off of somebody else's blueprint. But in the middle of all of those things happening, I built those 2 Triumphs. I had the opportunity to meet Jackie Mann, which was David Mann's wife. Mm-hmm. She is the blonde in the doggone hot dogs painting who is spilling the hot dogs in the coat.
Okay. Here's for everybody watching. We're gonna pull up the actual painting right here. That way you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's Jackie, the blonde there, and I had the amazing opportunity to have a private meet and greet with Jackie after we had returned home from Born Free 12, and we sit and she shared some amazing stories. But I had so many questions to ask her because David, he passed away September the 11th, 2004. And I wanted to know kind of his creative process as he went through, doing these amazing paintings. And we're talking thousands, not only Easy Rider magazine, Iron Horse magazine, Choppers magazine, that he had, these paintings featured in. And so I kind of wanted to know her idea of or her knowledge of how he got the idea to do these paintings. And she would say that he would never leave home without his camera. And he would constantly be taking pictures of either events, like places he was at, or motorcycles or people. And what he would do is he would take all of those elements and he would put them together into one image and create it to what he had in his mind and bring it to real life. So a lot of those motorcycles were never real motorcycles. Those were he took pictures of motorcycles, but then he modified them with different paint jobs, different handlebars, different elements to make it his own. And it's incredible to know that, without patting myself on the back or getting a big head, that I've built a bike that was in his mind and brought it to the public and gave people the opportunity to be able to see a tangent object that somebody had just dreamed up and drew or painted a painting of.
In 2-dimension, no less.
Yeah. But the incredible part was he was such an amazing painter that his attention to detail was far above anything, that you've seen. And he's been known as the Rembrandt of chopper painters. And so to take, and create 2 things that he had dreamed up in his mind is just an honor. And to share that moment with Jackie and let her sit on the bikes and touch them and feel them, it was really an honor. And
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it too. I mean, I don't know if you can see that, but they're there.
Yeah, you had to be there. I mean, that moment was just so special. I was just I was fanboying out, So she had shared a few, special things that, it's only intimate between her and I, and I'm just happy to have the moment to spend that time with her. I mean, she's 73 years old now, so I mean, she was the chopper mama back in the day,
Yeah, what an opportunity, man! Good for you, and like I said, to be just known for what you do like that and to get the attention of somebody like that and to have that connection, just I'm almost speechless by it. It's just great. It's amazing.
Well,
So,
I mean, it was all serendipitous the way it all happened. I mean, her daughter. I mean, the way it worked out was I received a Facebook message from David Mann's stepdaughter, which is Jackie's daughter, and she had seen the information when we were doing the Forgotten Angels raffle bike, and she wanted me to connect with her mom, and it was just so cool the way that everything just kind of laid out there, and I'm just blessed to have the opportunity to be a part of it.
Yeah. So let's pick up right back where we were. So we're at the point where you gave us the blessing. You said you wanted to help out, and I'm ecstatic, and the guys and girl are ecstatic too. So we're at the point where we're okay. What's next? What do we do? We don't know what kind of bike we're going to build, and then all of a sudden we landed on Sportster for some reason, because I think a lot of us have the connection to the Sportster because I had one, Ryan had one. I think everybody, is familiar with the Sportster, and just
everybody except for me. When you approached me to it, I just know from YouTube algorithms and just American society as is that, we did an amazing job with our 52 Triumph, raising so much money for Forgotten Angels, but I knew that putting Harley-Davidson on the board is going to grab so much more attention, and so many more people are going to want to be a part of that. So I said, you know what, sacrifice a little bit of Jared Weems, the guy who bleeds Triumph, and push myself beyond my, current knowledge and be able to try something different. So I said, hey, let's build a Sportster. And I think we said at the beginning where I was like, let's make this easy for me. Okay, let's do a fuel injected Sportster.
Oh boy. Well, anyway, we have this idea to let our listeners be a part of the selection of the type of bike, right? So we landed on Sportster, but we wanted our viewers to be a part of the selection of what it's going to, what kind be. We had everything from ADV, chopper, whatever, scrambler. It was all on the table. Cholo, and I personally was for Cholo, but it was all up to the listeners. And we did sort of a NCAA bracket style thing where week by week we eliminated a bike until we got down to, I can't remember if it was ADV and chopper, but chopper was unanimous from the start. Like it demolished everybody.
Come on, Dustin. I mean, really, but people think about a Sportster, or a Harley-Davidson. Number one, what do they want? They want to, and I was like, I knew from the beginning I'm going to be building a chopper. I think it came more down to because I personally wanted to build like a desert sled or like an enduro or something, kind of like that. But I knew chopper would come down to it, but I have a standard for choppers. Yeah,
and a good standard at that too.
Well,
but we got to a point where we're looking for a bike, and it's taken us a little while. I think this was over like late winter or something like that, and I put feelers out everywhere on social. I'm asking people at dealerships nearby and everything, and nothing's quite clicking yet. We haven't really found anything. Then all of a sudden I receive a message on Facebook from a gentleman up north by Chicagoland. His name is Fernando Palacios. I know he didn't want to be recognized in this, but I'm gonna pay credit where credit's due, because this guy was he was so eager to help out and didn't take a dime for this 75 Ironhead he had sitting in his garage that hadn't been touched in 20 years. Totally stock.
Yeah, no, that was amazing bike. I'm like, Fernando, dude, I'm like, come on, man. That was an amazing, generous donation to this project.
Yeah. I mean, we were offering money and everything. He wouldn't take it. He said it's for the cause. And he goes, no, you guys just take it. So we took the bike, we had it shipped to Tampa, and you had it for a bit, and then off you went, man.
Well,
And
yeah, I mean, number one, you receive this pristine 1975 Sportster with only 10,000 original miles on it. The last thing that really I want to do is to chop such amazing bike in half. That goes back to what I said. I have a standard for a chopper, which means you have to modify the frame in such a way that it does not, or it cannot return back to stock. And man, I told you guys, I told you, Tony, Ryan, Percy, Brittany, you, Dustin, I told all of y'all, I said, look, if this was my motorcycle, I wouldn't cut it. But knowing what it's going for and the idea of what we were going to do with it, I said, you know what, this bike is going to get used way more in the form that it will be than the form that it is. So that kind of drew the motivation. Plus, I don't like Harleys. No, I don't mind Harleys. I mean, look right there. Right there.
Yeah.
Harley-Davidson sitting right there in my garage. I don't mind Harleys, but, just in my heart is Triumph. But I think it's such a cool thing to be able to take something that really, I mean, we talked about Fernando. Fernando said that he had this bike for a long time and could never get it running. And so I said, I'm going to take a challenge. I did a YouTube video. If you guys don't follow me on YouTube, go check out my channel, Weems Motor Co. But I gave myself 1 hour to get this motorcycle running. And I promise you, within an hour and a half, we had that motorcycle not only running, but I was riding it down the road.
Yes, you were. Go watch that video, everybody. Yeah, subscribe to Weems because you're missing out if you're not. Please do that.
Oh yeah, and I number one, I kind of felt sorry for Fernando. I was like, man, poor guy. I was like, man, but such a generous heart to play such a huge part in that donation. I mean, I've done charity work before, and the idea of charity work is to try to keep the cost as low as possible,
right?
And to get a bike donated is amazing because we were talking at the beginning, hey, finding a Sportster is going to run $2 or $3 grand
at least. Yeah.
Yeah. And so boom, right off the bat, we saved $3 grand to that's $3,000 that we can instantly push towards the organization that we're doing this for.
Absolutely. And I hope it is on my list. It's in my agenda to go shake that man's hand in person because that's how much this means to me. I mean, it's only 3.5 hours north.
Well,
but
hey, you know what we should do is we need to make sure that Fernando is at the unveiling of this motorcycle.
Ooh, I like it.
I'm putting that out there. Whatever we need to do to make sure that guy sees the motorcycle that he generously donated to this project.
Absolutely. Let's make that happen. So from that point we left off at, we were at the point of, we need to reach out to some people to see if we can get some help with this. Sponsors. Go ahead and talk about these awesome sponsors that we've had that have so graciously donated parts and their time and effort into helping make this thing a reality.
Yeah, man. It's number one, to have a bike donated, incredible. But number two, to know that the cost associated to build such an amazing bike, going into the fact that it's a David Mann replica. This will be the third David Mann replica that I've done. And to know that so many people wanted to jump on board and be a part of it, regardless. This is the biggest thing for me. Regardless who else is donating to it. Because we know how business works. You have your competitors in the industry. You're trying to make your way. You're trying to make your business. Man, it's so cool to see so many people jump on board saying, hey, we just want to be a part of this process. We've seen what you did with Forgotten Angels, and that's great. But we know that this is going to go far beyond that. To have people like Lowbrow Customs jump on board who donated the tank, the fender, and the hardtail. TC Bros jumped on board, donating the seat for the project. We had Throttle Addiction right here. We're rocking them out. They donated the exhaust for the project. then I had the opportunity to be at the congregation show in North Carolina that's put on by Prism Supply, and sit and have a personal conversation with Jake. And he says, how can we be a part of this? And I'm like, dude, we need a tail light. And he's like, we got you. So we were sending you a tail light and the tag mount. Then amazing company like S&S jump on board and say, hey,
oh my God, yeah.
We don't have a whole lot of stuff for old iron heads, but what we do is we do have a carburetor set up. So S&S jumped on board with that. And then close personal friends, people like F&A Custom Cycles, Eric, man, I have to give a big shout out to Eric because he is an invited builder for Born Free this year. And he's building an incredible Harley-Davidson. I am not going to give away his secrets, what he's doing, but Dustin, I'm telling you, this bike that he is building is going to blow your mind. I'll just say that it's a shovel head bottom end with M8 heads, 3 magnetos, and 3 carburetors.
Oh.
So just wrap your head around that. That's how much I can give away right now in the midst of this. But he's donating the spark plug wires. He's donating a carb support and the intake sills for the project. A good friend of mine, Ron from over in Daytona Beach, he runs a shop called Chop Docs. He donated a bunch of the shock mounts for the oil tank and other mounts and stuff on the bike. And then, man, the painter on this project, listen, people, the guy that's painting this, I mean, number one, it's a David Mann painting. Anybody that paints a David Mann painting, they get 1,000 props from me. So I'm not even going to throw that name out there. Dustin, if you want to say who it is, but I am like humbled that this guy is going to paint this bike.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep that a secret until that part of the project comes around. But
suspense.
just to give you all a close up vision of what this bike's going to look like. Here's a close up from the painting. So just take this in mind that this bike is going to knock your socks right the hell off. I'm so excited, man. The way that everything has been falling into place with this has not only warmed my heart, but it's just been amazing. And I've said it 1,000 times on the show. I've said it 1,000 times to people in person. There is no other community in this world like the two-wheel community. Yeah. There's absolutely nothing like it. And dude, the only regret I have in my life is I didn't get into this sooner. You know,
I was raised in it, and I never really appreciated it until I had the opportunity to work with Forgotten Angels and to see what has happened within their organization over the last 2 years since I've been a part of them. And now I'm so honored to be a part of this because, you know, autism plays such a deep part in my heart because that's something that I walk with every day with my child. And I know you do too.
Yep.
And autism affects so many people across this country. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of children and adults who have been diagnosed with autism. It's 1 in 44 is the statistic right now.
That's the latest numbers. And, you know, just a short handful of years ago, it was 1 in 60.
Yeah.
Now we're 1 in 44.
I talked about it in a prior video. In the 1960s, it was like 1 in 2,000 plus. And I don't think that's anything that's, you know, that now is causing autism. I think it's more now we're able to better identify because in the 60s and 70s, you know, a parent may have looked at their kid as just being disobedient or being distracted, or they just didn't know how to diagnose it then. And, you know, they went into the process of, you know, identifying it as Asperger's. Or Asperger's, you know, syndrome, and now they've really kind of opened that up and said, you know, that it's a spectrum. You know, it's from it goes from A to Z. How people are affected by this diagnosis called autism.
Yeah, and it wasn't too long ago that Asperger's was kind of thrown into that spectrum too. So it's You know, you got Asperger's, which is on the what they call the very high functioning side, and then you have the other side, which is, you know, people that need 24/7 care. They can't even feed themselves.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking that families have to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, something I dealt with, within the last 12 years of my life is having epilepsy, and unfortunately, kids who are diagnosed with autism, 1 in 3 actually suffer with seizures, and
Right.
so that really pinged in my head and my heart, because I know how that number one affected me, and number two affected my family. And there's several other friends and families that have children with autism that actually are diagnosed with epilepsy also. So it's really challenging, man. It's a tough thing, to be a parent. How do you deal with the day-to-day basis on dealing with it in your family?
Well, like we talked about, it's a spectrum, so every child's different. Um, we knew from the time Rocco was, I want to say around 14 months, 15 months is when we got the diagnosis. But when he was born and up to 12 months, he was hitting all his milestones. And then right when he turned 1, he started walking, he started talking and everything. And then just a short time later, it was like a switch turned off. And he stopped talking. He wouldn't respond when his name was called. So we knew something was going on, right? And we were at the point where, like, we need to see somebody. Does he have something wrong with his hearing? Does he have something wrong? We didn't know. We're first time parents at this point, so we have no idea. So we're dealing with this for the first time with our first kid. So we did everything. We took him to the doctor. We took him to an audiologist, and then I just kind of started researching as we just thought his symptoms were getting worse and everything. And before you know it, I'm Googling and researching, and I stumbled upon autism on a Google search. And at that point, I'm like, is this it? Is this what we got to deal with? And excuse me. There's a point where but when you get that diagnosis, totally different. But I mean, it's one of the best things you could do for your kid, because you know where you need to go from here.
Yeah, it's nice to have an answer to what's going on, but that answer brings on so many more questions. Like, something that I dealt with when Austin was diagnosed. He was, I believe, 9 years old. And before then, we just thought, he's just a very hyper child, ADHD, all the craziness, hyperactivity and everything. Doesn't, he had that whole, doesn't respond, he's just, but I'm like, his mind is somewhere else.
Yeah.
But once your kid is diagnosed, then, man, you just think about the future, because you look at yourself, you're like, is this person ever going to be a functioning, independent adult, being able to, have a life,
Right.
or am I going to have to care for them for the remainder of their lives? And that's the tough part, because the autism spectrum is so wide.
Yeah.
And we're blessed because Austin is on the high functioning side of the spectrum, and as he's aged, especially now into high school, I kind of get that glimmer of hope, like maybe he can pull it out. Maybe he can, be that independent. And, as parents, we try to give him more responsibilities, more freedoms to make mistakes, to learn, but also be there in the chance that, he fails.
Yeah. But I mean, that's human nature. We all fail at some point, but we learn
Yeah,
from it and we move on and we get.
that's the point. We learn from
We're
it.
better from it, right? But at that point, we wanted to get him all the help we could. So we had therapists at the house, 3 different therapists at the house, 3 days a week. Of course, he was getting therapy in pre-K. We did extra therapy. Thank God we found Autism Speaks, because we were able to find some resources there to where we found places where this is so widely accepted and they could go and play and we're just worried about being a kid, And if I can give any advice, even if you think there might not be anything wrong, but you have an inkling, go see your doctor.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you just never, because it can make all the difference. And just getting them that help early on, early intervention it's crucial. And I'm glad we did that, because we've seen our kid blossom ever since. He has his good days and his bad days, but it seems like here lately we got more good days than bad days.
Well, and I think a lot of that goes into too you as a parent knowing what the issue is,
right,
and being able to say, all right, this is the issue, and these are the tools that we've been taught or provided or learned to be able to meet them where they're at, because they are, we use the term neurotypical.
Right.
That would be you and I. We're neurotypical. Well, they're not. Their mind works on a different wavelength, and something that Austin's. Well, how old is Rocco?
He's going to be 9 on Friday. On a Veterans Day, he turns 9.
Happy birthday, Rocco! If you're watching,
I'll make sure he watches.
Yeah. So 9, and I mean, here's the difference. Rocco's 9. That was when Austin was diagnosed. So we diagnosed later, but now Austin's 15. I mean, I've taught him how to drive a vehicle. He's actually drove me several times. So now, but it's been a really great thing to have him a part of this project. And I really, we talked to you guys when we first did it. I said, hey, this is something, oh man, before I get emotional, this is something that I desire, is to have my son part of this project, because he's not into motorcycles. And that's something we know as, normal people, we have our interests, our hobbies. But also with Austin being on the spectrum, motorcycles are not his thing. He does enjoy YouTube, which has been great, is to kind of go that avenue, saying, hey, you might not be into motorcycles, but I have a YouTube channel. Will you be part of me? Help me and critique me, help me edit, and teach me a few things that you enjoy about other YouTube channels. And so he's been excited to be on that aspect of the channel. And it's so awesome to see the comments that people give, saying, it's so awesome to see Austin on the channel, to see him being a part of it. I mean, even so much so that, here I am, teary-eyed, gray bearded biker guy, to see him actually welding. I mean, come on. I've seen adults who suck at welding to give this kid, say, hey, this is your homework. Watch this 12-minute video of TIG welding for beginners. And I'm not going to give you any lessons. I'm going to set the machine up, and I'm going to let you weld on the brake stay on this motorcycle for autism. And to see him do it, and I mean, come on. I was like, I expected this to be a disaster. To see him actually be able to lay a good 3/4 of an inch weld with good bead penetration, I was like, man, I suck. I was like, maybe I should have watched a 12-minute YouTube video and learned how to do it. But I think that's what's cool, is because the autistic mind, they think so much differently than we do, and the way they look at things. And I know that Rocco is really big into gauges and things like that.
Oh boy,
man, to give these kids or adults or whoever may be suffering with autism, to give them an in into what they're in with their attention to detail. There is no wonder that people like Bill Gates and Mozart, and these people who are said to be diagnosed with autism, excel in what they do. Man, I'm just proud to have him be a part of it. And it's just been exciting to learn new things with my son.
It's been amazing to watch because, of course, we've watched all the videos, and it's got to feel good to have your son working with you. I mean, every moment you're with your kids, you take in and you don't forget it, and you just want to remember it for the rest of your life. But this is something you got documented on YouTube that you can look back at with him when he's 30, 40 and say, hey, we did this amazing thing. Yeah.
Not to mention, Dustin, I've seen a few of you and Rocco's little Pizza Hut videos where y'all go out and he like tells us what his favorite things about him are. Man, I'm digging that, man. And that's what we have to do, right? We have to meet them where they're at. And I think that goes for any parent with a child, whether they're autistic or not. We have to meet our kids where they're at with what they're into, whether it's video games, whether it's Netflix or, whatever it may be. I know Austin was into Lego there for a while. We just have to meet them where they're at. And, us as parents, it has to take a little bit of us dying to our own desires and our own wants to excel our kids into what their hobbies and their desires are.
And nothing else has been truer said than it takes a village.
Yeah, I wish I had a village in this garage to help me build it.
True that, man. But no, I mean...
No. Stop right there, because I've had a village. I've had people like Lowbrow, TC Bros, Throttle Addiction, Prism, SNS, FNA, Chop Docs. They've been a huge part of this. And not only that, you guys just pinging ideas off. And listen, for the people who are watching this or listening to this podcast, Weems Motor Co., Jared, I am not making a dime off of this. Five Dirty Bikers, they are not making a dime off of this. Mm-mm. Everything has been 100% pushed forward to support this amazing organization, and it's just been an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, man, it's just been great to see everything fall in place, and I just want to put this out there too, that this isn't something we're doing for a pat on the back or an attaboy. This is genuinely 100% just to help.
Yeah.
Help a community that needs it, because people like you and me know what this can do to families. So what keeps me going is that I know that there might be people out there. Well, I know there's people out there that have it worse off than we do.
Yeah. So
knowing that, what we're going to talk about next is we chose this amazing organization called TACA, the Autism Community in Action. And I did a lot of looking around, a lot. We've done a lot of fundraising for Autism Speaks as a family and as a podcast, several other autism charities in the last 6 years or so. But one of the things that gravitated me toward this one so much was not only, just pulling up a website's one thing, but actually getting on the phone and talking to somebody. And Carolyn Baker, representative from TACA, I probably spent 30 minutes on the phone with her in the middle of a day, and just trying to learn about what they do and everything. And we wanted to make sure that wherever this bike goes, whatever it raises, is going to the right place. And after talking to her for a half hour and just learning everything they do, nonprofit events, resources, seminars, everything, just making sure that the people in the autism community have a safe space to go and just live their best life, just moved mountains for me. And I just knew after I got off the phone with Carolyn that this is it. This is the charity that we have to choose.
Well, the amazing thing that stood out to me when you reached out to me, said, hey, this is the organization that we want to do this for. Number one, the first thing that jumped out to me was they are a national organization, and it's not, just in the region,
Right.
anywhere across these states. They provide resources, education, and support for families who have children or family members, spouses, cousins, nieces, whatever, that suffer with autism, and also for those families, that have to provide that support for them, and to work with, number one, you guys, the Five Dirty Bikers, to work with an organization that is a national resource for what you and I deal with on a daily basis is just like, talk about reaching beyond your means. And I've said it, gosh, man, I've been to pretty much every major motorcycle builder show across this nation. And I've told people over and over and over, and my fellow custom motorcycle builders, I was like, look, dude, we've been giving a talent, a ability, a blessing, a gifting, whatever you want to call it, to build motorcycles. You, Dustin, have been given the ability to, do your job, what you do day to day, to be a podcast, representative. Everybody's been giving a gifting, a talent, an ability to do something. And if we were to use those abilities to pay it forward, how much could we change life for somebody? And so that's what I decided to do, number one, starting with Forgotten Angels, but now is to just use what stupid little talent I have in a 2-car garage in Tampa, Florida, to build a amazing motorcycle to help families all across this nation. I am honored to be a part of it, and I am thankful that you guys would even consider me to be a part of it.
Well, we knew you were the right guy for the job right from the get-go. I mean, I wouldn't have asked you if not. And like I said, you could have said no, and I would have been totally fine with it. I've been told no plenty of times in my life.
Well,
so
number one, you asked me to build a Harley-Davidson, so if I agree with that.
Yeah, it was a long shot.
Yeah,
Trust me.
I
knew it was a long shot knowing you had you
had better chances at Honda, okay?
Well, regardless of what brand, regardless of what style, knowing this bike is going to do what it's going to do for people is it's all I need. It's all that we need, an assurance to know that our hearts are in the right spot, and a community that is genuinely in need is going to just benefit so much from it. So again, thank you, Jared. We want to thank all the sponsors again for their time, the parts, their donations, everything. And guys, just remember, if you want to help out, go to fivedirtybikers.com, join our Patreon, because all the dollars we take in from Patreon actually goes toward this build. Like we don't pocket a dime from anything we do on this show ever. And we want people to know that, because this project means so much to us. We would just want to give everything that we have and just be so thankful for all the listeners, all the patrons, everybody that has paid a little bit of attention to this show and knows what we're doing and wants to help. It's just, I'm just speechless week to week when I hear about what's going on with this thing.
It's over the top. I know that I've been talking to Tony and Percy so much over the last few months as this project's been going. I know the camera's kind of dim right now, but that is the frame for this bike. It is almost ready to go to paint, and you guys don't understand the amount of money to get a project to this point that is almost ready for that final assembly, and I'm stoked. We're talking a March time frame for this thing to be fired up, ready to roll, and to kick off this raffle to raise money for TACA. And man, it's gonna be a blast. I cannot wait for that first fire up where we take it over to Blockhead's garage.
Yeah.
We throw it on that dyno, and we find out how much horsepower we increased from that last time.
Oh God, yeah, and to learn that Blockhead wanted to help, and if you want to go ahead and talk about that story about how he came into the picture real quick, but just another opportunity here. I just want to say thank you to Blockhead and everybody at Blockhead Garage for their willingness to, put some effort toward this and help us out, because it means the world to us, really.
Sure. Yeah. So when you first approached me, you said, "Hey, would you be willing to build a bike?" And I thought of the crazy idea. Hey, let's do a Sportster, because the typical person can jump on a Sportster and go for a ride. It'll be amazing. Then it transitioned into, hey, we got donated an Ironhead Sportster. And then it transitioned to, hey, there's that other bike from that painting that you built the other motorcycle for, to the whole point of me saying, I don't build Harley-Davidsons, right? And to say, like, I'll build the bike, but I don't know how to build the engine. And good friend Blockhead John over there at Blockhead Moto, meeting him at a show and saying, hey, look, I just got this opportunity to build a bike. Would you be interested in being a part of it? And he's like, heck yeah. And I'm like, cool, because I don't know crap about Harley. And him saying, we'll build your engine. And I'm like, man, that's awesome. So, it's such an honor to call him friend, number one, to number two, to be a co-builder. I literally consider him a co-builder in this project, because this bike wouldn't run if it wasn't for him. So, right. John, Chris, all the guys over there at Blockhead Moto, thank you guys for being a part of it. But they're going to be building the engine for this thing. And if you guys don't follow Blockhead on YouTube, you probably should, because he does some amazing things within motorcycle, especially the Harley-Davidson kind of genre.
Absolutely.
So he's gonna build this engine for this, and whoever wins this bike, man, number one, they're getting a super cool David Mann chopper, but number two, they're getting a Blockhead hopped up cool little Ironhead Sportster. And don't worry too much, it's not a kick start, it's electric start, so you just have to hit that button, so it's not going to be too hard on you. But I'm telling you, this bike, man, not to pat myself on the back or blow my head up, but the last David Mann bike that was from that painting is now on permanent display in Barber Motorsports Museum, which is the world's largest motorcycle museum. This bike is going to be just as, if not better, than that motorcycle that is at Barber. And I will put my name to that, Dustin. It's going to be a hot little bike.
Oh, we have all the faith in the world in you. We know it's going to be amazing. And, John was somebody that I've been watching since before I took my MSF course. And I never thought in a million years that I would get to meet this guy and have him working with us on a project like this. And although I haven't met him yet, we will cross paths soon. And that goes for the other four too. I mean,
at least you've seen his group. At least you've seen his face now.
Oh, we've had him on this show. We were actually the first podcast to have him on, so we saw his face before. So
yeah.
Once or twice. I think we had him on twice. So it's like unmasking Rey Mysterio from WWF. It's like, oh my God. And he highly resembles a buddy of mine too, which was weird at the same time. I'm like, okay, that looks like my buddy Jake, but no, it's Blockhead himself. No, very cool, and congrats to him on all his success and the Blockhead Garage. And I know you were there just recently for the unveiling and open house that he had going on. It's just amazing to see something that started from YouTube to where a guy's running day-to-day business. It's awesome.
It's amazing. I was kind of like I was the opposite of that. I was running day-to-day operations, and then this weird guy from Tampa named Shade Tree Surgeon decided to hit me up one day and say, hey, I heard you're into Triumphs. I like Triumphs. Can I come by your house? And
can I take some pictures?
Yeah. And from that leads into now me being a YouTuber and being on super awesome podcasts with the Five Dirty Bikers and building motorcycles. And, it's serendipitous to think back over the last 2.5 years, everything that, has opened up and made path. All the way to now, working on this Sportster with you guys. And, I'm excited. There's a lot of things in the background. I got other projects going on, and, if you want to learn about some of those things, check me out on YouTube. But right now, the iron is on the fire for this iron head.
Hell yeah. And I also need to give a little credit to the Cowans and the people over at Cycle Source Magazine too, because they were a big reason why we went in this direction with this bike. Because Chris really wanted to see Chris wanted to see this happen, man. He was pulling for us. I know we had a phone call. I don't know how long it's been, maybe a year, maybe a little less than that. But I actually brought up the idea, like you said, that somebody was actually in the process to actually build that bike, but it kind of dropped off.
Yeah. So I love you, Chris and Heather. You guys are so awesome.
Oh, that was one of the funnest. I mean, we've had lots of great guests on this show, but Chris and Heather Cowan and everybody else over at Cycle Source are just amazing to have on this show.
Cycle Source Magazine is so awesome. When I was touring around with the first bike that I was raising money with, Forgotten Angels, I had ran into them, and they actually threw it out there like, hey, who's going to do the other bike? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't build Harleys. and all to the point, even in that moment, they said, hey, if you ever decide to do it, let us know. And I had reached out to another local friends, and they were part of the fundraising for the Forgotten Angels project. And they said, hey, we want to build the other bike. And I'm like, awesome, take on the project, make it happen. If I can help in any way, let me know. And they kind of got stuck in a part of the process. And these guys are amazing. They actually were at SEMA this past week unveiling one of their cars, and they're a hot rod shop. And so when you guys approached me and said, hey, would you build this other bike? I knew that they had already kind of started the project. So I wanted to make sure that I reached out to them, and they were amazing. The guys over at Rooster's Rod Shop in Clearwater, Florida, they said, heck no, man. Hey, take it on. We know you're going to do an amazing job with it. So thank you to all of those guys over there at Rooster's Rod Shop. Follow them on Instagram, hit them up. Like I said, they just unveiled an amazing car at SEMA this past year. So give them the support, and thank you to them for giving me the honor to take on this project for TACA and for the 530 Bikers.
Amazing. Well, Jared, we could probably wrap this up pretty soon, but there's one question that I had for you that I wanted to get at earlier, but of course, when you start talking motorcycles, your brain's all over the place. If you have one piece of advice to give the parents out there that are just getting the diagnosis for the first time, what would you say to them?
Be patient. I know when we first got that diagnosis, it was like, oh man, this is the end of the world. Just be patient. Love your child where they are, where they're at. As they grow, man, they'll change. One day they're into Lego. The next day they're into video games. The next day they're into heavy metal music. So love your child where they are, what they're into. Do your best as a parent to meet them where they're at, to find some sort of interest in what they do. Nothing is more detrimental to them, and I can say this as a mistake from a parent, is to not meet them where they're at, to kind of shut them off for what they're into. It kind of makes them feel like they're ostracized.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing to walk with Austin, to live life with Austin, to take him to heavy metal concerts, to take him into the garage welding on motorcycles, to watch the craziest of videos, to, just life. Embrace it, love it. Crazy things will happen, and just know that they see the world in a different way than what we do. And appreciate that. Appreciate them seeing things differently, because us as neurotypicals, we get into boxes.
Oh yeah. Yep.
They are not it may seem like they're in a box, but trust me, they see things way more detailed than we will ever do. So embrace that, love it, appreciate them, hug them, even though they may not want to be hugged, because some kids don't like the physical touch. But
Right.
Love your kids where they're at, man, and appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if I can offer anything, I just want to say celebrate the small things.
Yeah.
Because all those things build up to something big. And get them all the help you can. Love them, like you said. Meet them down on their level and enjoy life with it. I mean, just because they have a quote-unquote disability doesn't mean they don't have ability.
Dude, it's not. No, stop that. It is not a disability. I mean, it may appear because we are stuck in our boxes, in our neurotypical boxes, but I'm telling you, the abilities that these people who are diagnosed with autism have is mind-boggling to see the opportunities that they have, no matter where they're at there on their spectrum, whether they're high functioning or low functioning.
Yeah.
I've seen kids who are in wheelchairs, who are non-communicative, who just have the biggest hearts and love, and the smallest thing just blows their mind. Just like you can see the awe in their life and then their eyes whenever something hits them that they love. So yeah, I mean, it's not a disability, man. It is definitely an ability that God has blessed them with that we did not get blessed with.
Yeah. True. Very true. I couldn't have said it better, man. Thank you. Well, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Jared, thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with me in this one-on-one. It's been amazing, man.
Yeah. No, dude, trust me. I've had a blast, and I'm looking forward to the rest of this project with you guys.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2023. There's so many big things ahead, and I can't wait for the unveiling of this bike and, just seeing where it goes over the course of the next year. And then finally when that magic ticket gets drawn and, somebody takes home an amazing machine and we all do some good for this community in need. But everybody, make sure you go to 5dirtybikers.com and go check out everything we have on over there, merch, and make sure you go check out all the updates on the Autism Build with us and Jared, and of course Blockhead's Garage, because you guys are just going to kill it for us, and we're so appreciative. So everybody, that's going to do it for this episode. We'll talk at you next week where we will be five again. Until next time, you guys keep it dirty.